Captain Yuna stood on the bridge of the Harmony's edge, staring at the swirling mass of deadly radiation ahead. The Kessler Belt stretched before them like a wall of death, crackling with energy storms that could tear apart any ship foolish enough to enter. No sane species had ever ventured into this cursed region of space. "Captain, we are detecting a signal from inside the belt," reported Communications Officer Hannah, her voice tight with disbelief. "It appears to be a distress beacon." Yuna's eyes widened. "That is impossible. Nothing can survive in there for more than a few minutes." The belt was famous throughout the galaxy as a graveyard. Ships that entered never returned. The radiation levels alone would cook any living being in seconds. The gravitational anomalies would crush metal like paper. Even the most advanced shielding known to the Galactic Council could not protect against the horrors within. "The signal is definitely coming from inside," Captain Hannah confirmed, adjusting her scanning equipment. Distance approximately 40 kilometers into the belt, Chief Science Officer Nari moved to her station, her tentacles dancing across the controls.
"Captain,
"I am reading the signature of a vessel. It appears to be of unknown design. The materials are primitive, mostly iron. And carbon compounds? Primitive materials in the Kessler Belt?" Yuna shook her head. "Whatever species built that ship, they must have been desperate to attempt such a crossing." Medical Officer Sua approached the command chair. "Captain, we should investigate. If there are survivors, they will need immediate medical attention." "Survivors?" Yuna laughed bitterly. "Doctor, nothing survives the Kessler Belt. We will likely find only bodies, if we find anything at all." But duty was duty. The Galactic Council had strict rules about distress signals. Even if the chances of finding life were zero, they had to respond. Yuna ordered the ship to move closer to the belt's edge, deploying every shield and protective system available. The journey took 3 hours of careful navigation. The ship's hull groaned under the pressure of the radiation storms. Warning alarms screamed constantly as the shields struggled to maintain integrity. Several crew members fell ill from the ambient energy that leaked through their defenses. Nari pointed at the main viewer. "I can see the vessel." The unknown ship floated peacefully in the heart of the storm. It was small, maybe 1/10 the size of the Harmony's edge. Its hull was blackened and scarred, but somehow still intact. Strange symbols were painted on its side in what appeared to be multiple languages. "How is it still in one piece?" whispered Hannah. "More importantly," said Sua, "how are we reading life signs aboard that ship?" Yuna leaned forward. "Life signs? Are you certain? Positive?" "I am detecting at least 4 biological signatures. They appear to be active, not in any kind of stasis." Crew exchanged glances. This was beyond impossible. Even with the most advanced life support systems, no known species could survive more than minutes in this environment. "Captain," came a new voice over the communications system. "This is the crew of the cargo vessel Endurance. We see you out there. Thanks for coming to check on us." The voice was calm, almost cheerful, spoken standard galactic, though with an odd accent none of them recognized. "This is Captain Yuna of the Galactic Council ship Harmony's Edge. What? Is your species and origin?" "We are humans from the planet Earth. I am Engineer Dojan. We have been stuck here for about 3 months now. Our main drive failed, but we almost have it fixed." 3 months. The alien crew stared at each other. In shock, 3 months in the Kessler Belt should have been 3 months of certain death. Engineer Doyan Yuna said carefully, "Are you aware of the dangers of your current position?" A sound came over the communications that might have been laughter. "Oh, sure. It is a bit rough out here. Reminds me of the winters back home in Siberia. Cold, lots of radiation, not much to see. But we are managing fine." Nari frantically worked at her console. "I am scanning their vessel. Their shielding is primitive, maybe 50 years behind our technology. By all calculations, they should have been dead within the first hour." Engineer Doyan Yuna continued, "We are prepared to evacuate you and your crew immediately. This region is extremely dangerous." "That is very kind of you, Captain, but we do not need evacuation. Like I said, we almost have the drive working again. It's maybe another day or 2. We have plenty of supplies. Supplies? Swa interrupted. What could you possibly be eating? Oh, the usual. Rice, dried vegetables, some protein bars. Jin Woo caught some kind of space fish yesterday. Not sure what it was, but it tasted pretty good after we cooked it. The medical officer nearly fainted. They are eating unknown organisms from the Kessler Belt. Captain Doyon continued, if you want to. Come aboard, you are welcome. We have coffee. It is not great coffee, but it is warm. Yuna looked at her crew. First contact with a new species was always significant, but this was beyond anything in the protocols. She made a decision that would change galactic history. Prepare the shuttle. Full environmental suits for everyone. We are going aboard. The shuttle trip to the human vessel took 20 minutes. The small craft shook violently as radiation storms buffeted shields. By the time they reached the Endurance, 2 of the shuttle's systems had failed completely. The airlock opened, and Captain Yuna got her first look at a human being. Doyon was tall and lean, with dark hair and eyes that seemed to hold no fear whatsoever. He wore simple work clothes and was wiping his hands on a dirty cloth. Behind him, other humans moved casually through the ship, working on various repairs. Welcome aboard, Doyon said with a smile. Please, come in. Watch your head. Our ship is built for human height. The aliens followed him into the ship, their environmental suits making them clumsy and obvious. The humans paid no attention to the heavy protection gear, treating their visitors as if they had just dropped by for a social call. This is incredible, whispered Nari, scanning the ship's interior. They have no additional shielding, no radiation protection, no environmental suits. They are breathing the ship's air directly. The air should be toxic, Swa added. The radiation levels alone should have killed them. Doyon overheard and turned back to them. Oh, you mean the radiation? Yes, it is a bit high. It's maybe like being at high altitude on a sunny day. We've been taking vitamins to help with that. Vitamins. They were treating lethal radiation exposure with vitamins. As they toured the ship, the aliens saw humans living as if they were on a camping trip. They had set up sleeping areas, cooking stations, and even a small recreation area where one human was reading a book. The crew worked together with easy cooperation, joking and laughing as they repaired their vessel. How long have you been traveling in space? Yuna asked. Our species? Maybe 60 years or so? We're still pretty new to all this. And you decided to cross the Kessler Belt? Doyon shrugged. It was the shortest route to our destination. We knew it might be a little dangerous, but we prepared for it. Brought extra food, water, radiation, medicine, the usual precautions. The usual precautions for a journey that should have been impossible. As they prepared to leave, Yuna realized that everything she thought she knew about life in the universe had just changed. Somewhere in the galaxy was a planet that had produced beings who treated the impossible as routine, who laughed at death and made coffee in the face of annihilation. Engineer Doyon, she said, would you be willing to meet with the Galactic Council? We would very much like to learn more about your species. Sure, he replied. That sounds interesting. Can we bring the coffee? 3 weeks after the first contact in the Kessler Belt, the Galactic Council chamber buzzed with nervous energy. Representatives from 12 different species sat in their climate-controlled pods, each one adjusted to their specific environmental needs. The topic of today's emergency session was the human homeworld called Earth. Diplomatic liaison Jiho stood at the center of the chamber, his report tablet glowing in his hands. Honored council members, I propose we authorize an immediate survey mission to the human homeworld. We must understand how this species developed such extreme survival capabilities. Council Elder Tejan raised one of his 6 arms. The preliminary data suggests their planet is classified as a death world. The atmospheric composition alone would be toxic to most of our species, which is exactly why we need to investigate, Jiho replied. These humans survived 3 months in the Kessler Belt without proper shielding. If we can understand how, it could revolutionize our survival technology. The debate continued for hours, but eventually fear gave way to curiosity. The council approved the mission with one condition. It would be conducted entirely from orbit. with no surface contact allowed. 2 months later, the survey ship's scientific progress approached the blue and green planet that humans called home. Chief Xenobiologist Swa stood in the observation deck, her breathing apparatus working overtime to keep her calm. "Initial scans are complete," reported scanner operator Kyung. "The planet is even worse than we thought. Massive temperature variations, violent weather systems, and dangerous levels of solar radiation." "How dangerous?" asked Mission Commander Yunseo. "The equatorial regions reach temperatures that would cook most species. The polar regions are cold enough to freeze our blood solid, and the middle latitudes experience both extremes regularly." Wow. Examined the readings with growing amazement. "Look at these atmospheric pressure readings. The entire planet experiences pressure changes that would crush our ships. And yet the surface is covered with life, not just life added environmental." Specialist Minho. "Complex civilizations. I am detecting massive cities, transportation networks, and industrial facilities." The team spent the first week cataloging the planet's dangers. They found storm systems larger than most space stations, with winds that could tear apart buildings. They discovered regions where the ground itself was toxic, spewing poisonous gases into the air. They located areas where the temperature changed by 50 degrees in a single day. "This is not a planet," whispered Sua. "This is a torture chamber." But as they continued their observations, they began to notice something even more disturbing. The humans were not just surviving these conditions, they were thriving in them. Scanner operator Kyun, called Yunseo, focus on that desert region, the one with the extreme heat. The image on the main screen showed a vast expanse of burning sand, with temperatures hot enough to melt metal.
Oh no.
In the middle of this hellscape, they saw something impossible: a human city. "How are they surviving down there?" asked Minho. "They are not just surviving," Kyun replied, adjusting the scanner settings. "They are living normal lives. Look at this." The screen showed humans walking through the streets, children playing in courtyards, and markets bustling with activity. They wore light clothing and seemed completely comfortable in conditions that would kill any council species within minutes. "Scan the polar regions," ordered SUA. The images were equally shocking. In temperatures cold enough to freeze solid any known biological process, humans had built research stations and settlements. They moved around in heavy clothing, but they moved, they lived, they worked. "This is impossible," muttered Yunseo. "No species can adapt to such extreme temperature ranges." Over the following days, the team documented dozens of human settlements in locations that should have been uninhabitable. They found cities built on the sides of active volcanoes, where the air was filled with toxic gases. They discovered human communities in swamplands, where the water would dissolve most organic matter. But the most shocking discovery came when they focused their scanners on human recreational activities. What are they doing? Staring at the screen in horror? The image showed humans deliberately jumping from great heights, with only thin fabric to slow their fall. Others were climbing up vertical rock faces using only their hands and feet. Some were diving deep underwater without any breathing apparatus. "They appear to be engaging in these activities for pleasure," reported Kyung, his voice filled with disbelief. "Pleasure?" Yunseo leaned forward. "They are risking their lives for fun?" The team watched in fascination as humans participated in activities that would be classified as military torture by council standards. They ran great distances in extreme heat. They fought against powerful water currents. They descended into deep caves where one wrong step meant certain death. "I need to understand this," said Swa. "Scan for their young. How do they raise their children in such conditions?" The answer left the entire team speechless. Human children were playing in environments that would require full protective gear for adult council members. They swam in natural bodies of water filled with dangerous organisms. They climbed trees and ran through forests where predators lurked. They built shelters and started fires as if these were normal childhood activities. "Their children learned survival skills as games," whispered Minho. "What we consider advanced military training, they consider basic childhood development." As the survey continued, a disturbing pattern emerged. The humans did not just tolerate their dangerous environment, they actively sought out even more dangerous challenges. They built their cities in the most difficult locations possible. They traveled to the most extreme regions of their planet for recreation. They seem to view danger as something to be conquered, rather than avoided. We need to revise our entire understanding of biological adaptation, said Sua. These humans have not just survived on a death world, they have been shaped by it. Every challenge their planet threw at them, they overcame and then looked for something harder. The final week of the survey brought the most shocking discovery of all. The team detected human preparations for space travel to even more dangerous worlds. They were planning to colonize planets that the Council had marked as completely uninhabitable. Are not content with just surviving their own death world, observed Yunzeo. They want to find more death worlds to live on. As the scientific progress prepared to leave Earth's orbit, the team compiled their final report. The conclusion was both terrifying and inspiring. Humanity had evolved not just to survive in extreme conditions, but to thrive in them. They had turned the worst possible environment into their greatest strength. What do we do with this information? Asked Minho. Swa looked back at the blue and green planet one last time. We learn from them. We pray we never have to compete with them for resources. The survey ship departed, carrying news that would change the galaxy forever. I'm in the depths of space. On a world that should have been empty, lived a species that had turned hell into home. The Galactic Council testing facility had never seen anything like this before. Council military advisor Hyun stood behind reinforced glass, watching as the human volunteers prepared for their stress tests. The facility's medical staff had worked for weeks to create environments that would challenge human capabilities without killing them outright. Are you certain about this? Asked Dr. Guan, the facility's chief psychologist. These tests were designed for our most elite military units. They have a 40% injury rate, even for trained soldiers, humans insisted, replied Heian. They said they wanted to show us what they could do. In the preparation chamber, former Marine teamman stretched his muscles casually. Next to him, mountain climber Yuri checked her equipment with practiced ease. Two other humans, engineer Minsu and rescue worker Soyen, reviewed the test parameters on a data pad. This looks fun, said Yuri, reading through the challenge descriptions. The gravity test reminds me of climbing in the Himalayas. Same pressure problems. The temperature chamber should be easy, added Taemin. Basic survival training covers this stuff. We did worse exercises in boot camp. Dr. Guan activated the communication system. Human volunteers, we are ready to begin. Please remember that. You may stop any test at any time. Your safety is our primary concern. Taemin looked up at the observation window and smiled. Thanks, Doc. We appreciate that, but we will be fine. The first test was the gravity chamber. The facility could simulate gravitational forces up to 3 times galactic standard. Most Council species could barely function at 1.5 times standard gravity. Their elite soldiers trained at twice standard gravity for short periods, beginning gravity test, announced the computer, starting at standard gravity and increasing gradually. The humans stood calmly as the gravity increased. At 1.5 times standard, they began moving more carefully. At twice standard, they adjusted their stance, but continued talking normally. At 2.5 times, they were still mobile and alert. Incredible, whispered facility director. Wanbin, they are still functional at gravity levels that would paralyze our best warriors. Increased to 3 times standard, ordered Hyon. At 3 times standard gravity, the humans finally showed signs of strain. They moved slowly and deliberately. But they moved. Taemin even managed to do a few push-ups, grunting with effort but still smiling. This is like carrying a heavy pack, he called out. Uncomfortable, but manageable. The second test was temperature tolerance. The chamber could simulate extreme heat and cold that would kill most life forms. The humans entered wearing only basic protective gear. Beginning temperature test, the computer announced, starting with extreme heat simulation. The chamber heated to temperatures that would cook most organic matter. The humans sweated heavily, but remained conscious and functional. They moved around the chamber, completing simple tasks and even joking with each other.
Ow.
This is like summer. Back home, said Soyen, wiping sweat from her forehead. Hot, but nothing we have not handled before. Increase temperature to maximum safe levels, ordered Hyon. At maximum heat, the humans finally slowed down. They conserved their movements and drank water regularly, but they endured. They lasted in conditions that would have killed Council. Soldiers within minutes. The cold test was equally impressive. As the temperature dropped to levels that would freeze most biological processes, the humans put on additional clothing and continued functioning. They built a small shelter using materials provided in the chamber. They even started a fire using primitive tools. They are treating this like a camping trip, observed Dr. Jiwan. Their heart rates are elevated, but they show no signs of panic or severe stress. The third test was atmospheric tolerance. The chamber could simulate different gas mixtures and atmospheric pressures. Most council species required precise atmospheric conditions to survive. Beginning atmospheric test, the computer announced, simulating low oxygen environment. The humans breathed more deeply, but adapted quickly. At oxygen levels that would cause unconsciousness in most species, they remained alert and active. They performed physical exercises and solved complex problems. This is like being at high altitude, explained Minsu. We just need to pace ourselves and breathe properly. The facility staff watched in amazement as the humans handled atmospheric conditions that should have been lethal. They survived in gas mixtures that would poison other species. They functioned in pressures that would crush or explode most biological systems. The fourth test was the most disturbing for the observers. The facility created a scenario that combined multiple dangers: high radiation, toxic atmosphere, extreme temperature, and unstable gravity. It was designed to simulate the worst possible survival situation. This is our maximum difficulty scenario, explained Dr. Guan. We have never had a test subject survive more than 10 minutes in these conditions. The humans entered the chamber and immediately began assessing their situation. They worked together to identify the biggest threats and develop survival strategies. They built shelters, found water sources, and created tools from available materials. They are not just surviving, said Wanbin. They're problem-solving and adapting in real time. For 2 hours, the humans endured conditions that would have killed any other known species. They took turns resting, shared resources, and maintained group morale. When the test ended, they emerged tired but unharmed. How do you feel? Asked. Dr. Guan, tired, admitted Yuri, but not too bad. It was like a really challenging day of mountain climbing. The radiation was a bit annoying, added Taman. But we have medicine for that back home. The final test was psychological. The facility created scenarios designed to break the mental resolve of test subjects. They simulated isolation, hopelessness, and extreme stress. Most council species broke within hours. The humans lasted for days. They maintained their sanity through humor, storytelling, and mutual support. They created games and challenges to keep their minds active. They refused to give up even when the situation seemed hopeless. Their mental resilience is beyond anything. In our database, reported Dr. Juan, they actually seemed to become stronger under pressure. After all tests were completed, Hyan met with the human volunteers. These results will change everything we thought we knew about biological limits, he said. How did your species develop such capabilities? Taman shrugged. We come from a tough neighborhood. Earth does not go easy on anything. If you want to survive there, you learn to adapt, or you die. But you do more than just survive, pointed out Wanben. You seem to enjoy facing these challenges. Of course, said Yuri. What is the point of just surviving? We want to live, explore, and grow. Challenges make us stronger. As the humans prepared to leave, the facility staff realized they had witnessed something unprecedented. They had tested a species that did not just endure hardship. They embraced it. It found beings who turned obstacles into opportunities and danger into adventure. What do we do with this information? Asked Dr. G1. Hien looked at the test results. 1. More time? We learn from them. And we hope they stay friendly. The Grand Assembly Hall of the Galactic Council had never been so crowded. Representatives from every member species filled the vast chamber. their environmental suits glowing with different colors and life support systems. At the center podium stood human ambassador Minho, the first of his kind to address the full council. Honored delegates, Minho began, his voice carrying clearly through the translation systems. I understand that our recent tests have raised many questions about human capabilities. Today, I hope to provide some answers. In the observation galleries, scientists and military advisors from dozens of worlds leaned forward. The test results had spread throughout the galaxy like wildfire, creating fear and fascination in equal measure. Council Speaker Jayon activated his microphone. Ambassador Minho, the Council has reviewed the stress test data. Your species survived conditions that would kill our most elite soldiers. How do you explain this? Minho smiled, a gesture that still made many aliens uncomfortable. To understand. Humans, you must understand our world. Earth is not a gentle place. It has been trying to kill us since the day we first stood upright. He activated a holographic display showing Earth's surface. This is a typical day on our planet. You see, storms that could destroy cities, temperatures that change by 50 degrees in hours, and ground that shakes without warning. The alien representatives watched in horror as the display showed earthquakes, hurricanes, and volcanic eruptions. These were not rare disasters. They were normal weather patterns. How do you survive such conditions? Asked Delegate Suyang. From the Peaceful Worlds Alliance, we adapt, Minho replied simply. Every generation faces new challenges. Those who cannot adapt do not survive to have children. Over thousands of years, this process created humans who thrive under pressure. Dr. Yunbi, the Council's chief biologist, stood up. But adaptation has limits. No species should be able to function in such diverse extremes. That is where you are wrong, Minho said gently. You evolved on stable worlds with predictable environments. Your species developed to be perfectly suited to specific conditions. Humans evolved differently. The display changed to show human settlements around the globe. We never knew what tomorrow would bring. Ice ages, floods, droughts, plagues, Earth threw everything at us. We learned that specialization meant death. Only those who could handle anything survived. Military advisor Kangmin activated his communication. System, Ambassador. Your species seems to actively seek out dangerous situations. Our observers noted that humans engage in hazardous activities for recreation. This behavior makes no sense from a survival perspective. It makes perfect sense, Minho laughed. We call it training. On Earth, if you do not practice surviving, in extreme conditions, you will die when those conditions arrive naturally. He showed images of humans climbing mountains, diving deep underwater, and racing through dangerous terrain. What you call recreation, we call preparation. We stay ready for whatever our world might throw at us next. The chamber erupted in whispered conversations. The concept of deliberately seeking danger was foreign to most council species. Had evolved to avoid risk, not embrace it. This explains your physical capabilities, said science coordinator Seojin. But what about your mental resilience? Your people maintained sanity under psychological pressures that would break most minds? Minho nodded. Mental strength is just as important as physical strength. Humans who gave up easily did not survive long enough to have families. We learned to find hope in hopeless situations and to keep fighting when everything seemed lost. Why do you seem to enjoy these challenges? Asked cultural analyst Yan Wu. Most species would consider such experiences traumatic, because giving up is not an option, Minho explained. If you cannot change your situation, you must change. How you think about it? We learn to find joy in overcoming obstacles. We celebrate victory over adversity. The display showed human celebrations after surviving natural disasters. People worked together to rebuild, often creating stronger communities than before. They treated each challenge as an opportunity to prove their resilience. This is difficult for us to understand, admitted Delegate Hinwu from the Cautious Collective. Our species developed by avoiding danger, find safe places and stay. The idea of deliberately seeking risk is terrifying. And that is why we can work together, Minho said. Your species developed wisdom and caution. You built stable societies and advanced technologies. You learned to think before acting. These are valuable skills that humans respect. He gestured. To the assembled delegates, each of your species offers something unique. Some excel at mathematics, others at engineering, still others at diplomacy. Humans offer something different. We specialize in surviving the impossible. Trade Representative Jung Soo raised a concern. But if humans are so adapted to danger, how can we trust you not to create conflict? Your survival instincts might make you aggressive. That is a fair question, Minho acknowledged. But you misunderstand human nature. We do not seek conflict with other people. We seek conflict with problems. The display showed human rescue operations, medical missions, and disaster relief efforts. When we see others in danger, our instinct is to help. We have always been stronger together than apart. Our biggest challenges required entire communities working as one. This is why humans volunteer for the most dangerous missions, realized Council historian Dong Yoon. You do not see impossible tasks as punishment. You see them as opportunities to prove your worth, exactly, Minho confirmed. When the Council faces a crisis that seems unsolvable, humans get excited. We see puzzles to solve, challenges to overcome, and ways to help our friends. The chamber fell silent as the implications sank in. They had been afraid of humans because they were dangerous. But humans were not dangerous to friends. They were dangerous to problems. What do you want from the Council? Asked Speaker Jae-in Minho. Looked around the chamber. We want to be useful. Give us your impossible jobs, your dangerous missions, your unsolvable problems. Let us help you explore the places you cannot go and survive the things you cannot survive. And in return, teach us what you know. Share your wisdom, your technology, your perspectives. To help us become better than we are. We can face any challenge the universe presents. As the session ended, the alien delegates understood something fundamental had changed. They were no longer alone in a dangerous universe. They had found allies who thrived in the very conditions they feared. Most, the galaxy suddenly seemed much less scary and much more full of possibilities. The emergency alarm echoed through the Council headquarters as representatives rushed into the crisis chamber. On the main screen, a dying star system displayed its final moments. In the center of the chaos, a research station with 300 alien scientists was trapped, their escape route blocked by collapsing space itself. The situation is hopeless, reported Crisis Coordinator Kung Soo. The star will go supernova in 18 hours. The gravitational distortions are too severe for any rescue ships to approach. Council Leader Taiyin studied the readings with growing despair. Our best military vessels cannot survive the radiation levels. The space-time distortions would tear apart any ship we send. What about evacuation pods? Suggested Military Commander Yunho. Impossible. The electromagnetic storms would destroy any small craft within minutes. We have never faced conditions this extreme. The chamber fell silent as the reality set in. 300 of the galaxy's brightest minds were about to die, and there was nothing anyone could do to save them. What about the humans? Research. Director Sungmin quietly. The suggestion sent a ripple of whispers through the chamber. Since joining the Council 6 months ago, humans had become the unofficial crisis response team. They had handled disasters that other species could not even approach. The conditions are beyond anything we have tested, warned Dr. Juan. Solar radiation at lethal levels, gravitational forces that could crush metal, and electromagnetic storms. That would fry any electronic system. But they survived 3 months in the Kessler Belt, pointed out military advisor Han. Maybe they can handle this too. Within an hour, Mission Commander Wu Jin stood in the briefing room with his team. Pilot Incio studied the navigation charts. Engineer Hunsu reviewed the technical specifications, and Medic Yunbi prepared emergency medical supplies. The situation is this, explained Coordinator Kunsu. The research station is trapped 15 million kilometers from a dying star. The entire region is filled with radiation, gravity wells, and electromagnetic storms. We need to extract 300 people in less than 18 hours. Wu Jin looked at the data calmly. What kind of ship are we taking? The fastest rescue vessel we have. It is equipped with the most advanced shielding technology available. Will it be enough? Honestly, probably not. The conditions are beyond anything our ships were designed to handle. The human team exchanged glances. Incio shrugged. Sounds like that time I had to land a plane in a hurricane. Difficult, but not impossible. Ouch! The radiation levels will be lethal, warned Dr. G1. We have radiation medicine, replied Medic Yunbi, and we can work in shifts to limit exposure. The gravitational forces could crush the ship. Then we fly carefully, said Wujin. We have dealt with rough weather before. The council members stared at the humans in amazement. We were discussing a suicide mission as if it were a routine assignment. Are you certain you want to attempt this? Asked Leader Taiyan. Of course, Wujin replied. People need help. That is what we do. 2 hours later, the rescue ship Endurance 2 launched from the council station. The human crew worked efficiently as they approached the disaster zone. Their training taking over as conditions worsened. Radiation levels increasing, reported Hunsu. Shields are holding, but we are at 60% capacity. Electromagnetic storms ahead, added Inzio. I can navigate through them, but it will be bumpy. The ship shook violently as it entered the outer edge of the collapsing system. Warning alarms screamed as the hull temperature rose beyond safe levels. The artificial gravity fluctuated wildly as space-time itself twisted around them. This is like flying through a tornado, muttered Incio, fighting to keep the ship stable. A tornado made of fire and death, added Hyunsu, monitoring the failing systems, but the humans pressed on. They had faced hurricanes, earthquakes, and blizzards. This was just another type of bad weather, Research Station in sight reported. Wujin, beginning approach. The station was a twisted wreck, its hull cracked and bleeding atmosphere. The alien scientists huddled in the central core, their life support systems failing. Docking is impossible, said Incio. The station is spinning, and the docking ports are destroyed. Then we go manual, decided Wujin. Hyunsu, prepare the emergency airlocks. Yunbi, get ready to treat radiation sickness. What followed was the most dangerous rescue operation in galactic history. The humans worked in shifts, using their ship's emergency equipment to cut through the station's hull. They created makeshift air bridges and manually carried unconscious alien scientists to safety. How are they doing this? Wondered Dr. Jawan. Monitoring from the council station. They're treating it like a mining accident, observed Coordinator Kung-Su. They have obviously done this type of rescue before. Indeed, the humans worked with practiced efficiency. They had experience with collapsed buildings, flooded mines, and burning structures. This was just another emergency, albeit in space. Radiation levels critical, warned Hunes. We are all getting dangerous exposure. Almost done, replied Wujin, carrying the last group of survivors. Just a few more minutes.
Ow.
The rescue took 14 hours. By the time they finished, all for humans were severely radiation poisoned. Their ship was falling apart, and the star was beginning its final collapse. Jump to hyperspace now, ordered Wujin. The ship barely made it to safety before the star exploded, sending shockwaves across the entire system. The 300 alien scientists were alive, though most would need months of medical treatment. Mission successful, reported Wujin weakly. All targets recovered. In the medical bay, the human crew received treatment for radiation poisoning. They had absorbed enough radiation to kill most species, but they were expected to recover fully.
Ow.
Do you feel? Asked Dr. Giwan. Like we got too much sun, replied Inzio. We will be fine in a few days. You saved 300 lives, said Coordinator Kung-Su. You accomplished the impossible. It was not impossible, corrected Wujin. It was just difficult. We have done worse things for less important reasons, such as Inzio once flew supplies to a research station during a blizzard. Hyunsu helped rescue miners from a collapsed cave. Yunbi worked in a hospital during an earthquake. This was similar work. The council members realized something profound. What? They considered impossible. Humans considered routine. It's the most dangerous mission in galactic history. It's just another day at the office for people who came from a world that tried to kill them daily. What do you want as a reward? Asked Leader Taiyin, the humans looked at each other and smiled. How about some of that good council coffee? Suggested Yunbi. The stuff on our ship tastes terrible. As news of the rescue spread throughout the galaxy, something changed. The humans were no longer seen as dangerous oddities. They were heroes, who ran toward danger while others ran away. They were the ones you called when the situation was hopeless. We need to make this official, said Leader Taiyin. The galaxy needs a permanent human crisis response team. I agree, nodded Coordinator. Kung Su, the universe is full of impossible problems. We finally found the people who specialize in solving them. 1 year after the Dying Star rescue, the Galactic Council Chamber had been transformed. A new section had been added specifically for human representatives. With environmental controls adjusted to Earth standards, at the center of this section sat Director Yunseo, head of the newly formed Human Emergency Response Corps. The quarterly report shows impressive results, announced Council Chairman Sunwoo. In the past year, human teams have completed 47 missions that were deemed impossible by our standards. The statistics were remarkable. Humans had rescued crews from ships lost in black hole gravity wells. They had established research bases in the hearts of nebulae where radiation would cook. Any other species? They had even ventured into the space between galaxies to recover lost exploration vessels. How many casualties? Asked Safety Coordinator Doyan. Surprisingly few, replied Director Yunseo. We have had some injuries, but no deaths. Humans heal quickly, and we have good medical protocols. The success of the Human Emergency Response Corps had changed the galaxy in ways no one had expected. For the first time in galactic history, there were no truly unreachable places. If someone was in trouble, no matter how dangerous the location, the humans would find a way to help. The economic impact has been significant, reported Trade Minister Ginwan. Regions that were previously uninhabitable are now being developed. Mining operations have expanded into areas we never thought possible, and the psychological impact is even greater, added cultural analyst Che Yung. Our people sleep better knowing that help is available even in the worst situations. The most important change was not in what humans did, but in what they had taught the galaxy. Before first contact, the Council species had been content to avoid dangerous regions of space. Now, inspired by human examples, they were beginning to explore and expand again. The Peaceful Worlds Alliance has requested human trainers, reported. Military Advisor Han, they want to learn basic survival skills. The Cautious Collective is developing new exploration protocols based on human methods, added Research Director Sungmin. They are calling it managed risk-taking. Director Yunseo smiled. We are happy to share what we know. Teaching others to survive is just as important as surviving ourselves. The transformation was visible throughout the galaxy. Alien species that had not left their home systems in centuries were now joining human exploration teams. They were learning to see obstacles as challenges rather than barriers. What about the Death World colonization project? Asked Chairman Sunwoo. Ahead of schedule, replied Yunseo. We have established permanent colonies on 12 worlds that were previously classified as uninhabitable. The mining operations are already producing rare materials that will benefit the entire Council. The Death World colonies had become a symbol of the new alliance. Humans provided the survival skills and willingness to face danger, while alien species contributed advanced technology and scientific knowledge. Together, they were achieving things that neither could accomplish alone. The most successful colony is New Busan, reported Colony Administrator Minwoo. It is built on a world with constant volcanic activity, toxic atmosphere, and extreme temperature. Variations. The human colonists love it. Love it, questioned Delegate Sioyan from the Gentle Worlds Federation. They say it reminds them of home, Minwoo explained. They have built cities in the lava fields and used the geothermal energy to power advanced manufacturing facilities. Other species work there in environmental suits, but they work there. This was the new reality. Humans had not just joined the galactic community, they had expanded it. Places that were once forbidden had become new frontiers. The galaxy had suddenly become much larger and more interesting. What about the next phase? Asked Science Coordinator June. We are planning expeditions to other galaxies, replied Yunseo. The void between galaxies is extremely hostile. But we think we can make the journey. We might find new forms of life or new resources. The alien representatives exchanged glances. A year ago, they would have considered such a mission pure suicide. Now, they were beginning to see it as just another challenge to overcome. The humans have changed us, observed cultural analyst Chaz. They have shown us that the universe is not something to fear, but something to explore. And we have changed them too, added Chairman Sunwoo. Human technology has improved dramatically with our help. Their medicine is better, their ships are faster, and their survival rates are higher. This was the true success of the Alliance. It was not just about humans helping aliens, or aliens helping humans. It was about both sides becoming better than they were alone. The integration has been remarkably smooth, reported Diplomatic Coordinator Jaewon. Human children are attending council schools and alien children are learning human survival techniques. The cultural exchange is benefiting everyone. There have been some amusing incidents, added social observer Haijin. Human children keep trying to teach alien children how to climb trees and swim in deep water. The alien parents are terrified, but the children love it. The future looked bright for the Human-Alien Alliance. Plans were underway for joint exploration missions to the far reaches of the galaxy. New technologies were being developed that combined human adaptability with alien innovation. Most importantly, the galaxy was no longer divided into safe and dangerous regions. It was all just waiting to be explored. What is the long-term vision? Asked Chairman Sunwoo. Director Yunseo looked around the chamber at her alien colleagues. We want to build a galaxy where no one has to face danger alone, where every species contributes their strengths to help others overcome their challenges. And how do we achieve that? By continuing to do what we do best, replied Yunseo. Humans will keep running toward danger, and our alien friends will keep making us smarter and safer while we do it. The session ended with approval for the next phase of expansion. New human emergency response teams would be established throughout the galaxy. Training programs would be expanded to include more alien species, and most importantly, the exploration of truly dangerous regions would continue. As the delegates filed out of the chamber, they carried with them a new understanding of what was possible. The galaxy was no longer limited by what they could safely explore. It was limited only by their imagination and courage. In the depths of space, on worlds that had been empty for billions of years, new settlements were taking root. Children of a dozen species played together under alien suns. Learning from each other and growing stronger together, the universe was vast and dangerous, but it was no longer lonely. In the harshest corners of space, where no life should be possible, humans and aliens worked side by side, proving that together they could survive anything. The galaxy had found its guardians, and they had found their purpose. Whatever challenges the universe might present, they would face them together, turning the impossible into the inevitable, one mission at a time.